Was that my cue? Welcome,
And
everyone.
ladies and gentlemen from around the world, we are pleased to have with us a special guest host tonight. It's Mr. Benjamin Andrews.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 18 of Filling the Void. As the voice of God so nicely said, my name is Ben Andrews, and I'm your host for tonight's episode. So, for those of you who are first-time viewers, welcome. Filling the Void is a simple concept. It just started as a small opportunity for us to provide community for creatives during a time when we've all been distanced and separated. And for many of us, many creatives, unable to work. But as 2020 continues to evolve, we're just using this as an opportunity to expand relationships and partnerships that we might not have otherwise thought about. So tonight, I'm really excited about it because we are talking to a lot of our brothers and sisters of filmmaking on the east side of the mountains. So without further
speaking of the east side of the mountains, do we have a sponsor from?
Oh, see, Todd, I love you. Spokane Film Project is your sponsor for tonight's episode, which is also a great opportunity for me to tell you to help us to continue this. Please like and subscribe these videos, or subscribe to them. You don't have to subscribe them. I will move on. Todd, at your convenience, why don't you bring in our friends?
They're attempting to join.
There we go. Welcome, my friends. Welcome to episode 18. So we have on screen Jennifer Gatts, Jesse, and Joe Wulczynski. Did I get that one?
That's good. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Are you just being kind, or did I get it?
You're good.
Okay. And then hopefully, did Dave get back to you, Joe?
He said he's logging in right now.
All right. Well, Joe can join us whenever he joins us. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate it. Before we even dive into this, am I to assume that all of you guys know each other?
To certain degrees. Where I don't know, some of us are maybe 6th or 7th degrees. Some of us are a little closer.
Okay. Well, let's just go around the room. We'll start with Jennifer. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're connected to the industry and a creative?
Well, I've been working in the television and film industry in Spokane for a little over 10 years. When I started out in casting with Nike Imaru. I was her assistant. Kind of fell into that job, and it was great. And I think, like most people, if you work in the industry and you love it, it gets in your blood and you can't imagine doing anything else. So that was me. And for the past 4 years, I kind of moved into the AD world, and I'm a DGA second AD and a member of IATSE Local 488 as a production office coordinator. So that's me in a nutshell in the last 10 years.
Very cool. Very cool. Welcome, Dave.
Hi. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties.
That's okay. That's the story of my life.
Yeah.
We are just going around the room right now doing introductions. Jesse, why don't you go next, brother?
Hey, I'm Jesse James Hennessy, a writer, director, editor, and owner at JJH Productions in Spokane, Washington. I mostly make horror comedy flicks. I have a web series called Mr. Dark, which we have 2 new episodes coming up this Halloween season. I also have a short film called Night of the Witch, which is doing its festival run right now. So I've been doing promotional stuff for that, recording Zoom chats with cast and crew, putting out pictures, posters, all that cool stuff. I also do a podcast with my wife called Bloody Married Podcast, where we talk about horror films over a Bloody Mary, which is pretty fun. Aside from that, lately I've been doing some stuff with the Spokane Film Project. I'm going to be doing a video for Spark Central coming up, which is pretty exciting. And just hanging out, navigating this weird world. So that's me.
Amen. Joe, who is joining us on his 41st wedding anniversary?
41st anniversary.
So,
don't tell the wife I'm out here, though. She thinks we're having dinner.
Okay, right.
So, no, I grew up since seen movies at the drive-ins, loving movies. I mean, my hobby was collecting movie posters, the ads from newspapers. I would cut them out and my room would be a mess. And I've just kind of always wanted to get involved, always wanted to do things. And I've had opportunities through times, but it actually wasn't until I moved up to Chihuahua and I worked with Into Deep Productions. We did 3 feature films there out of Valley, Washington. And then the Spokane people were great. I mean, the project, I had an opportunity to work on Z Nation, but I'm also a teacher, and I kind of linked onto those guys and girls from the Spokane area to, help my kids with their interest in film and stuff like that. So, I mean, I could talk about just a lot of things. I'm just kind of one of those guys who loves films, wants to get involved in filmmaking, and has had the greatest opportunity kind of with the people I've met. Dave and worked with him on a couple of projects. Jennifer, Z Nation, a couple of things. Jesse, I've met, but hopefully, maybe get a chance to do some things later on.
Don't forget you're a writer, Joe.
Yes. I'm trying to figure out how many things I've written. Probably if I named everything as a property, probably like 120 or more. So, and I did theater. I've written and directed plays and stuff like that, but.
So let's just pause right there. You've written 120 what? Like?
Probably over 40 short stories.
Wow.
15, 20 scripts of some sort. This includes plays. Actually, probably 40 or 50. I have some teleplays that have like 10 episodes. I just write Facebook posts. I mean, a lot of stuff. I love to write. So I do a lot of that.
Ben, we should probably be asking our guests what they do not do.
Yeah,
Be an
right.
easier question to answer.
Got a bunch of Renaissance people on board here. So, Dave.
Yeah. Well, I'm a director and writer. I make commercials. I make a lot of short films. I really narrative writing and narrative film is really what I enjoy the most and everything. I also have a business called CS Now, which is it brings instructors in to do live. Well, not right now, we can't do live in person, but either live in person or via the internet for classes for the arts. So for like acting, or we even did a stunt class. We have directors. We're going to do cooking classes. We're going to have novelists come in and do that kind of stuff. So we kind of did a trial run back about a year ago, and then my partner that I was working with left town, and not skipped town, but he moved and he got a better opportunity. So so he moved, and so I bought the business out, and so I'm actually just getting ready to kickstart that back up and get that going. And and I'm working on a few projects with some other writers, which is really interesting. Working on a like a Netflix type, 10 episode, 8 episode type of program, and then also like a feature length script, something with another writer from Canada. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So the purpose of this episode is just the majority of our audience is on the west side of the mountains here. And one of the goals of the Seattle Film Summit is just to bring some of these regional partners together and see if there's opportunity to collaborate. But for those of us on the west side that may not know much about the Spokane Film Project, and are you guys all part of the Spokane Film Project, or you just interact occasionally with them?
I think we're all
I am a
members.
member.
Okay, you're all members?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
somebody give us the elevator pitch of what the Spokane Film Project is.
Who's gonna go?
You are.
That would be.
Okay.
Go for it.
Spokane Film Project brings together professionals and amateurs and anybody who's interested in in filmmaking really together, and they're really a big focus right now is on education. And so they've got some free educational panels that they're working on putting out. I don't know what the schedule is right now, but anybody who's interested can go to Spokane Film Project's Facebook page. That's where everything is right now. They also have a website, but that's being updated. So the new website is supposed to roll out in September. It's just a bunch of people who collaborate. There's definitely, Jesse, you can probably talk about, there's some opportunities for local filmmakers to, get involved in the arts community and provide either paid or non-paid production opportunities to help the local arts community. SFP also recently got a SAGA grant, which is Spokane Arts Grant Association. I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget. Oh, grant awards. And they got that grant to provide these educational panels. So those panels range anywhere from, directing to producing to union stuff to, oh gosh, all kinds of things. One thing with the thing that I got involved with SFP was once the pandemic hit and everybody was locked in, it was like, okay, what can we do to bring people together? And so I developed it's called Connecting in Chaos, to bring writers and actors together. So there was a lot of people were talking about all the projects they were writing. And so how do you help writers? Well, they can hear their script read by actors. That helps them to either fine tune their writing, or sometimes, maybe scrap something or change something, or just hear how fantastic their writing is. Right, Joe? Are you frozen, Joe?
No, it's
Okay. But bringing writers together and then putting out these scripts and casting people who are interested in reading them, and then organizing a Zoom table read and getting everybody together virtually to read these scripts. So that's been a lot of fun. I kind of took on that organizing aspect and send out the Zoom links and get everybody to sign in and read these scripts. So that's been a lot of fun.
Very cool. So even though it's the Spokane Film Project, I assume it's a regional organization. Like Joe, you said you're in Chewelah. Did I say that right?
Chewelah.
And
Which is about 40 miles north.
So this is the Spokane Film Project is more of a regional, got members from all surrounding. How far out does it go? Just for lack of better terms.
The world.
The world.
I mean, there's not I think that people can sign up to become members of Spokane Film Project. There's not a fee, and there's not really any requirements. You have to go through this application process just to make sure they're not, a droid, but they just sign up on the website and it goes through the there's a committee that looks at those applications, but it's really just, are you a person and are you interested in filmmaking? So there's not a regional requirement that they have to be within a certain region.
So what I'm hearing is that if there's people on the west side of the mountains that want to shoot on the east side of the mountains, either for just a feature or here and there for commercial projects, it would be of value for them to at least connect with the Spokane Film Project.
For sure. And even if they're just interested in collaborating, even in some small way, like Connecting in Chaos. Actors want to read for table reads, or writers have projects that they'd like to hear read. I think that collaboration is great no matter where you're at. And especially now, you can collaborate with people from around the world so much more easily and quickly. So.
Absolutely. So it sounds like what I'm hearing and reading from your bios that I think is super cool is that a lot of the work that you guys are doing, even though it's centered around the film industry, is really just trying to support arts in general. I know, Dave, you've got this CS Now, which
Right.
is directors and actors, but novelists and stage managers. Why don't you
Sure.
tell us a little bit about CS Now?
Well, it actually was my old partner's concept that he came up with, and he always thought, well, let's. He's always supported the arts and everything, and he said, let's get some of these people together that we know, and then it kind of built to let's get bigger names if we can, and things like that, and so it's been something that we think serves the community really well too. It gives them valuable information. The nice thing is like I'm working the production, and sometimes there'll be like a 6-hour class, for a day or something, and I'll be doing production, and sometimes it'll go in and it'll be something that I shouldn't say I don't care about, but it's not something that I felt I needed to learn, or wasn't important to me, or it wasn't related to what I would be doing. And by the end of the class, I'm like, oh my God, I have so much knowledge now. And I didn't have to pay to do it, to learn it, for the class. And I actually kind of got forced to do it in a way, having to do production. And, I end up learning so much. And then I find out that that's things that I can learn, or I can utilize in directing, or with working with actors, or, with other people just in technical areas. It's actually, it's really amazing how something that you think isn't going to be related can actually feed your needs and everything.
Well, I think you make a really solid point. I know I feel 100% the same with the Seattle Film Summit. When we started that, it's like I've learned more from bringing in experts and witnessing them educate others. I think it's a good lesson for all of us, for anybody who is going down the path of artistic endeavors. If you pull community together, whether it's educational or networking or whatever, you are going to get a lot of more benefit than you would than just taking a class. So something to think about. Hey, Todd, can you pull up the CS Now promo? Let's take a look at it. I think the audience is hearing it. It's not. CSNow.com. So
cool. Thank you for the free promo, the airtime there. And right now that just takes you to the Facebook page, because I'm redesigning the site with some new things in mind, and trying to, honestly, with COVID coming along and there being a need for more streaming and everything, I'm trying to work with a couple different people and figure out how we're going to go forward with this under the conditions, because we can't get 20 or 30 people in a classroom at one time right now. And so it's we're trying to find a way to make this work for COVID, which I think can. But the ironic thing about that is now you can't get the equipment for a lot of the streaming and everything, because they keep getting sold out because everybody's going online now. So but yeah, so hopefully in the next couple of months we'll have this going again. But by all means, please, you can go to the Facebook page and follow there, and we let people know and stuff. And actually, some of the people that we're talking to today, I'll have to pull you guys in for classes.
Pretty cool. Well, Joe, you're doing some community efforts in Chewelah.
Yes, yeah. So I'm since 2007, I've been a board member of Chewelah PACA, which is our goal was to build a performing arts center. we've got a great program, great theater there. And Don McLaughlin used to teach theater out at EWU, and he passed away 2016. But it's been a goal to build a theater, performing arts center. We have Park Avenue Players, we have Stage Time, and then we have, numerous other things that we do. So we finally bought it's an old armory. We bought it from the city of Chihuahua is really great working with us. And in 2016, we converted it into the Chihuahua Center for the Arts. The actual first thing that they held there was the Chautauqua Film Festival, which I developed, and invited many of the people from Spokane, and Dave showed his film there. So I mean, I really think that you need to, arts are important for the kids, and they need to have a nice place to do theater. They need to have a theater. They need, I got stuff blowing into my face from outside here, sorry. Or something. Anyway, we had a really great theater program through Janet McLaughlin, and it was just, the kids really needed an actual theater. We did it. We built it for them. The community it was a community thing, and it's fantastic. And we can't wait till we can start letting people in it again.
You have a note about Chihuahua. That's just not rolling on.
Chihuahua.
You got
my last name right, so that's okay. I can forgive you.
So you guys have a creative district. Tell us what. Yeah,
we're the second creative district in Washington State. I think there are a lot more now, maybe 6. People ask what a creative district is, and I don't have a set answer, because that's kind of what we're developing. We're developing what we are. But if you think of a historical district, so you go here and, in 1852, this happened. In 1777, this happened. The creative district is, this is where, and it doesn't have to be, doesn't mean people outside are not doing stuff, but it's kind of a concentrate of businesses and community and artists kind of working together. And that is our creative district. And we're still in the process of branding, logo, signs, and because as I said, it's like anything else, it is a process. But yes, Chihuahua is the second creative district in Washington State.
Nice. And Todd, you have some of those links, so please put them into chat and share those at your convenience. Jesse, you have been very patient. Let's transition this conversation to some of your guys' personal and creative work. I watched a couple of those trailers of yours. We're going to show at least one of them, Jesse. So tell us a little bit more about your passion.
My passion is making movies, making fun horror comedy stuff, horror comedy content. Like I said, what we've been working on now, we have my Mr. Dark web series. We started that back in 2015. We did like a 3-episode run. And then since then, we've kind of been doing one-offs where they can kind of live, by themselves. And probably my most successful film was called Mr. Dark Field of Screams. That did really well in festivals. So we've been just kind of shooting them in that style. And we shot 2 episodes like right before COVID happened. So luckily I have some stuff in post-production to work on, and that we're going to be putting out in Halloween. But COVID really kind of, threw it all for a loop, because we had a plan going. We were going to show them in theaters, that kind of stuff. Pitch something bigger to hopefully get funding. So it's just kind of retooling what that is and what that looks like now. But I'm excited for those to come out. And I have another short film called Night of the Witch, a cool 80s throwback, bloody, fun thing that was crowdfunded on Indiegogo a few years ago. And that's submitted to festivals now. And, we're going to see what happens with that thing, because there's a feature film written for that we would like made too. So that's the ultimate goal there. In the festival circuit, that's a strange thing too, because a lot of places can't have that. They can't have, a live event. So they're transitioning to just doing online, or they're pushing it back, or they're waiting and seeing. So yeah, it's just kind of up in the air. And I have a podcast, Bloody Married Podcast, which is a lot of fun that me and my wife do in the basement, surrounded by VHS tapes, talking about horror movies. So that's really cool. But right now I haven't really been filming much, because you can't really do too much. So just kind of developing some content. And,
Well, let's take a peek at your Mr. Dark promo.
Cool.
And Ben, I apologize. We only have screenshots of that.
Oh, okay.
If you give me a second, I
yeah.
can pull that up on YouTube potentially. Is that on YouTube?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Todd. This is in the folder. There is both of them. Let me see here. We're going to come back to these.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Well, but those were behind the scene pictures. Those were cool too.
Are they still up?
Yeah, talk about those for a moment.
Yeah, those are from the two that we shot right before COVID happened, a few months before. So those are just some behind the scenes shots of what we were making. Like we have some really fun makeup and costume design happening, some cool lighting, and really great community of filmmakers here locally, actors and the crew members. We all have a great time making these things. So I'm just excited for them to come out in like a couple months.
We also have a slide. Do you have a slide of the Night of the Witch behind the scenes, Todd? We lost Todd.
No. Yeah, there's a few Night of the Witch behind the scenes pictures and our poster right there. So you can see she's working on our really cool witch. Teresa Black was the makeup artist that designed the witch. She's really cool. There's a picture there of Jade Warpenberg, one of our director of photographies. Really awesome. Yeah, and that was a really fun project too. A lot of blood and a lot of hairspray for the 80s hair. And we have a really cool scene where someone gets stabbed in the mouth through a beer can. And so there's a lot of beer spraying and blood spraying, and that's in the trailer too. So that one was a lot of fun. It was a really fun project to work on, for sure.
Very cool. Very cool. Jennifer mentioned this at the very beginning of the episode, which I think is so true. Is like once you step on a set, you get bit by that bug. You see this like creativity going on around you. That happened to me when I was 30. Like I transitioned late in life to be like, oh, I want to try this film stuff. And I got on a set and I was like, oh, it was like Disneyland for adults. Well, I'm not technically an adult. I'm still a little boy. But anyway, I digress. My question to you, Jesse, is when was that moment for you?
It's always been there. It was when I was a kid. I started, my parents would rent VHS camcorders for family events. And then I'd, take that around and make little short films at home. But really when it kicked into high gear was when YouTube, kind of the birth of YouTube and editing programs were easier to do on your home computer is when I, really started to dive into it. So probably early 2000s. And then, I don't know, I'd say 2013 or somewhere around there was when I started getting really serious about it and working with more of the community. And here I am missing film sets. I miss film sets. I miss all the stuff that goes before it, the interacting with people, the meeting people, having meetings, scouting locations, and all that stuff. I miss it a lot. So I hope we can get back to it.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, I do have a Night of the Witch trailer. Would you want to watch that while I get the other one going?
Yeah, sure.
Or
let's put a disclaimer to anybody who might be watching who has children.
Oh yes.
And then once I have said that, which I have now, let's watch it.
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties behind the scenes here.
On this Halloween night, don't do drugs, don't have sex, don't sin, because she is out there. This is the Night of the Witch.
Night of the Witch. What a crock of bullshit.
There's that beer I was talking about.
Right. And this is a short film already on the festival circuit or not quite
yet? Yep, it is. It's submitted to a whole bunch of film festivals, and it's been accepted to like everyone that we've got notifications for. So yeah, it's currently in its festival run, and you can find it on YouTube too. So it's out. It's out
You
for
know,
everybody.
this is the first year that the Seattle Film Summit is doing its own set of screenings. Just
Is it?
saying.
Oh,
Yes,
yes, I'll submit stuff for sure.
we'll talk further.
Yeah.
Do you want to
We're gonna
watch
get back-
another one?
Are we ready for Mr. Dark?
We are ready for Mr. Dark.
We'll do that one, and then we'll
Right.
also transition to Dave's because he's got a good one too.
Okay.
We woke in the middle of the night to these screams coming from the field. I ain't never heard screams like that come from any creature on God's earth.
That's when I phoned y'all.
How the heck did you get our number?
We were supposed to be a super secret ghost hunting, demon fighting team of the night.
Looked you up in the yellow pages under supernatural pest control.
Piece of junk! Son of a bitch! I'm gonna eat you like I did all the damn hogs! First day on the job and you bring burgers, Chet.
'Cause I'm hungry. Jeez Louise, Ross, didn't you eat this morning? Want a bite?
No.
You sure it's good?
No.
Bacon, beef,
No!
I think I got some fries in here somewhere too.
Chet! So, what seems to be the problem?
The problem? She's the problem.
Die, mother truckers, die.
Yeah, those are just some clips from a couple of the shorts we did recently. Fun stuff.
Somebody's a fan of Evil Dead, methinks.
Yes, Evil Dead 2 is my favorite film of all time.
Army of Darkness is in my top 3.
That's a fantastic one too, for sure. Yeah, definitely more comedy in that one.
What'd you think about the series that came out, the latest series of Evil Dead?
I loved it. Yeah,
Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yeah, I love Bruce Campbell, and it's really fun to see him get covered in all that blood and gore and stuff again. I think they really nailed the feel and the tone, of the series. What'd you think of it?
I loved it.
Yeah,
absolutely loved it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to ask the question to Todd, which I'm afraid to ask is, do we have, is it Brucifer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Todd,
Yeah. So
we definitely have Brucifer.
Okay. Yeah. That's it's just a scene from the film that I'm actually in the middle of editing right now. So I just threw together a little scene here for you guys. So
take a peek.
Yeah.
So you're
The Duke of Darkness. Brucifer?
wow, that's underwhelming.
Screw you, Reggie. You know how hard it is to grow up in the shadow of someone like my brother?
Well, actually, I have
No. You don't know.
Okay.
So, Reggie, let me lay it out for you. You have 3 minutes to finish these taxes, or you're never going to see that nursery get finished in time. And how do you think that's going to go over with little Miss Wifey Poo?
Unwell. What's it gonna cost me? My soul?
A soul for some taxes? Jesus, I'm not a monster. God. Your price will be...
Cool.
So you got to wait for the price.
So tell us a little bit more about that project, Dave.
Yeah, so a friend of mine and I that I went to film school with had been joking about doing a film, just a short about the devil's little brother, you know, that, and this, not Little Nicky style, but yeah, and so we had kicked it around for so long, and then finally we're like, you know what, let's just do this. And we were trying to get it out for tax day and everything, and then, you know, COVID hit, and it's like, oh, okay, tax day got moved and all that. But yeah, you know, it was a really fun process because we had the script together, and we were gonna, you know, normally when I audition, I'll audition in person and everything, and we decided to do video submits, and we ended up getting you know, a couple actors that were just like exactly what was on the page. And you know, I've never had the experience where it was, you know, everything that me and Seth, my writing partner, were talking about, and all the little inside jokes and everything, they just got it. And so, you know, we snagged them, and they came in and did it, and now we have there's a lot of special effects and things like that we want to put on it, but yeah, Dane and Paul, you know, just did exactly what we'd hoped they would do. So yeah, it was a fun little project.
It sure is nice when that magic works out, isn't it?
It is. You know, and it actually makes my job a lot easier, you know, instead of coaxing somebody into a performance that, you know, wasn't necessarily written for them, or maybe they're not the right person for it, but you really like working with that actor. It's somebody that, you know, they just got it, and it's like, wow, okay, well now we can, you know, play around in different areas that we maybe couldn't have before, because we would be spending that time trying to you know, push them in another direction. So yeah, it was a really, really cool process.
Yeah, it's really cool when that happens. Yeah, definitely.
So Jennifer, I know that you like to consider yourself somebody who elevates the creatives around you, but do you have any closet creativity? Do you write? Do you do anything that you want to share?
I don't write. I really, I mean, the creativity that I have is in helping directors and producers put the puzzle pieces together, because that does take creativity. So it's just, you know, I'm really the support person that helps you know, other people solve problems. That's where my creative juices come in, is when there's a problem. And
so let me speak up for Jennifer, because this, you know, I said I've known her for a couple of years, and her and Rebecca Cook have been really great with helping me with, you know, career days at the high school I work at. But probably in the artistic level, probably one of the best things that ever happened was connecting in the chaos, where she, you know, she puts the actors and the screenwriters. So when I write the screenplay, it comes to me, and I'm just like, and the voices are in my head. Those other voices, they go on vacation, they leave them alone so they don't fight. But so those voices are my voices. So what she has done, and Rebecca Cook helped, right, is they've put this thing together where the voices are not my voices, they're actors' voices. And a lot of times it's kind of like Dave says, it's like, wow, it's like almost like I wrote this screenplay for that person. And I didn't, because some of them have been around for years. And that has been a really great thing. And one, it's helped me improve. It's helped me, because as a writer, you write, you're like, yeah, it's good. It's good. No, it's not. You know, nothing's written, everything's rewritten. So this is, you know, it's provided an opportunity. I think I've run through 7 of them so far. And it also inspired, kind of, Jennifer threw a challenge at me. So I wrote a screenplay. Then she kind of threw something else at me. Well, threw something else at me. And honestly, I was like, that's somebody else's idea. But then when I did start writing, it's like, I love that screenplay. I mean, I wrote it, but I think it's great. I loved it. I also was inspired to write a couple more episodes for one of the TV shows that I had done. So she's kind of sitting back there going, just behind the scenes. But I mean, and these guys would probably tell you, you have to have, if you don't have those people behind the scenes, nothing's going to happen. If you don't have those people behind the scenes, nothing will happen. You'll just be sitting in your room with your own, you know, with your phone going, I'm making movies.
Truth.
I think, you know, one of the things that I've noticed, I mean, because I am a union member, I can't work, you know, on non-union stuff, like in those positions. But I see a lot of, you know, indie filmmakers in our area who are really talented, but don't understand all the pieces of, you know, all the steps you should go through before you make that movie, before you go out and, I mean, because it's not free. They got to pay a DP, they got to pay, you know, for equipment, they got to pay for things, but you need to plan in order to be using that money wisely. So for me, it's been really fun. In this time, I've, you know, for fun, have taken some scripts and broken them down. You know, like, let's look at all the elements. Let's look at the props. Let's look at the, you know, all those things that are required to make it good, to make it really what the director's vision is. Without planning all those pieces, the director's never going to get their vision, because their vision is grand. So you have to talk about all those pieces and plan them out in order to make it feasible and doable and you know, on budget, which nobody really has a budget. So, you know.
I think that might be the first time I've ever heard that quote. I broke down the elements of the script for fun.
Well, that's what I think's fun. I mean, I enjoy that. I enjoy the pieces and trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to schedule this to make it make sense. You know, if you get, you know, you have so many days, or how many days is it going to take to make this film? You know, you don't really know until you break it down and you start planning those pages and those days and all that, those fun things. But also for sure the writing. In COVID, you know, there was a thought of like, how are we going to make movies again? How are we going to do it, really? And I think in the beginning of COVID, I was of the opinion that, you know, let's not talk about how we can't do things. Let's figure out how we can. And that was the beginning. I've kind of rode the wave a little bit, because now it feels more like it'd be irresponsible to really just jump in and start doing things. But, you know, using this time to really plan things out and you know, fine tune some skills, or learn new skills, or, you know, do all those things that will benefit once we can work again. So, you know, like I've been taking OSHA classes and, you know, trying to get all the certifications so that, you know, you're ready once we can do it again. So, yeah, but one of the thoughts was, you know, we're definitely going to be, even when we do start again. So while we have the go-ahead to film in Washington State, we don't really have the go-ahead for narrative, because, you know, unless you are shooting a narrative with one person in a room, or one person in a location, or two people 6 feet apart with no masks. I mean, there's so many rules that it doesn't really seem relevant right now to be able to do it. But when we can again, it's still going to be, you know, isolated locations, you know, outside locations, or very few inside locations, and very few actors. The less the actors, the better. The you know, those are the things we're going to be working with. So that was my challenge to Joe, and to us, been other writers as well that have written things that I've, you know, given that challenge to, like, hey, can you write something with 10 or fewer characters in 2 or 3 locations, and maybe they're outside locations, or a majority of them are outside. How do you do that? And Joe rose to the occasion and actually wrote 2. So, you know, it's great to be able to do something.
You're making us look bad, Joe.
Yeah,
Come on.
Knock it off. So Jennifer, you seem to have, so you've been in the industry since 2009?
Yes. Yeah.
So you've been in casting, you've been in production. Obviously now, during this time of, I just call it innovation, like the whole world has to just hit the reset button, kind of reevaluate how their work is done, and you seem to be enjoying that process of reevaluation. Like, what is your favorite part or position in film?
I think that I mean, I love the AD role, and the second AD is where I really put a lot of energy. And I've first did some small little things that were just, real short things. But I think that's probably where I enjoy it the most, because you get to interact with all the departments. And you're really kind of that key person who can assist the first AD in scheduling. You come up with solutions to problems on the fly. I think those are the things that I enjoy the most. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what I love about kind of just listening to you talk is one of the things that I really appreciate about the film in general, is this umbrella of talent that's filled not just with creatives, but technicians, with project managers. And the world wants to put us in buckets of creatives versus non-creatives, but there's so much gray area in between those two. And truthfully, there's so much to be learned from each other all along that gray area. Filmmaking is just the ultimate collaboration. So I see that you don't call yourself a creative, perhaps, but you truly are a creative. So thank you for doing the work that you do.
Thank you.
But I tell you, with Jennifer, is what she's doing, that's what I do 90% of the time when I'm making a film. So she's doing the same thing. She's doing what we're doing anyways, and she just doesn't even know it. So, or maybe she knows it, but she's just smarter than us. So
yeah.
So before we run out of,
it's making, what I take the most joy out of is making directors' visions happen on the day. So many times they get, director and other, creative positions within the industry, whether it's costumes or it's makeup or it's whatever it is, all those pieces come together. But in order to get it done in the day, you got to schedule it, and you got to be, you got to be on it, and you got to know what you're doing and what you're doing next, not just what you're doing now, but what you're doing next. And you don't have time to think about that in the moment when you're the guy who's, directing that whole thing. At least you shouldn't have to think about it. You should only be thinking about what you're doing with the actors right then, and the overall vision of what you're seeing on the screen. Somebody else should be handling all those other details for you so that you can just keep moving. And that's at the end of the day, when you make your day and you've completed it successfully and nobody has hurt themselves and everybody's great, it's successful, and you can just be really happy about the end result. So
that takes a creative mind, though, to one thing, be able to do that kind of scheduling, and then also to understand and reinterpret somebody else's vision and everything. So yeah, you're definitely a creative.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave.
So Joe, you obviously work on a lot of creative endeavors, but you've also sent over a couple links. So what are you working on right now that you'd like to share?
So in 2019, I worked with theater. I did a lot of theater, a lot of other things. But my true passion, like I said, I've loved film since I was like 5 years old. I always wanted to get involved. So kind of 2019, I decided, I'm going to set these aside and get more involved in filmmaking, because, there's a great support down there in, excuse me, in Spokane. And then it was like, getting ready, making these plans, and kind of like Sam Peckinpah said, it ain't going to be so easy, son. So COVID come up. But I met Dave through the 50-Hour Slam. He had a film, The Angel and the Bear, that we showed at the Chautauqua Film Festival. So I got to know him, and somehow we started talking about drive-ins. And I've been thinking about doing a drive-in project, the fact that they're going away for years. And I think when I originally thought of this idea, there was like maybe 10 drive-in theaters in Washington State. Now there's only 5. So finally I was like, I'm going to do film. let me get a hold of Dave. So get a hold of Dave, said, hey, what do you think? And he's like, yeah, okay, sounds like a plan. So December or January, we went up to Colville and met with the owner of the drive-in there to kind of do a promo, just get some ideas about interviewing theater owners, you know, for the Colville drive-in out of you. And it's kind of like one of those moments, and I'm sure Jesse and Jennifer and Dave can let you know. So we set up in the theater, you know, I mean, in the snack bar, and Dave had his own equipment. I had my equipment, probably not as good as Dave's. He's like, oh, let me set it up. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Because I pretend like I know what I'm doing, but I really don't. So it's great to have friends in Spokane. Yeah. And so then we start doing the interview thing, and I'm standing back, and he's interviewing the owner, and this Steve guy is telling stories about theater. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is it. This is exactly what I imagined. And the plan was that we were going to take road trips to the last 5 remaining drive-ins in Washington State and interview, patrons and distributors and the owners. And we were going to, and I do have the website or the Facebook site. We were going to put our adventures. We were going to do live stream on this thing, Chasing the Last Picture. And we were just going to do the Washington State ones. And then we're going to challenge the other states, say, hey, you know, because who's been to a drive-in? Okay, everybody, on memories. I mean, it's a part of our life. It's an icon. And guess what? Guess who's coming back big because of COVID? Drive-in theaters. Anyway, so that's the one project that I'm really excited about that kind of got put on hold, and that 2021 will be shooting out there. So basically, we're just going to record, a historical documentation of the last remaining drive-ins in Washington State by other filmmakers to do the same. And then people, hopefully they never go away, but things do. They'll have a place to go and say, oh, well, yeah, we're missing that. Boy, what a bunch of dumbasses we are. We got rid of them all, so.
Yeah, well, it went down to 5. It's probably up to 25 at least right now. So I think they're converting a lot of places, old buildings and old fields and that to drive-in theaters. I don't know how long they'll make it, but I guess Walmart's doing a thing where they're buying and making parking lots into theaters. It's just, yeah. So how long it's gonna last? Yeah, well, no matter what happens, I don't think that we are going back to the whole hugging, handshaking culture for a few years.
No.
I mean, so there's a chance that maybe they'll stick around for a bit. I don't know. It's an interesting, and this is a documentary. Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, a historical archive of the items. I don't know so much as a documentary.
Well, you got
about the history. It's like a family photo album. Oh, here we are loading up our car going to the drive-in. Here's when we did this at the drive-in. I mean, I've been going to drive-in since, like I said, 1966, and a lot of fun experiences. And it's a big part of my life. Some fond memories.
Sounds like a cool project. Yeah.
So we got about 5 minutes left. I just want to go around the room, virtual room, real quick. I still don't even know what question I'm going to ask, so I'm just going to verbally process here. What happened, Joe?
Aliens finally showed up.
Light burned.
Thank you, sweetheart. My wife thought she was helping by turning the light on.
Hey, it's our anniversary, get in here.
Or maybe she's signaling, get my ass inside you.
Don't get off, I'm gonna kiss you.
As somebody who basically spent their first half of their life not being a creative, and now I've spent the second half of my life being a creative, and I say this a lot, that creativity pretty much saved me as a human being. It helped me find my voice, learn to even figure out how to find my voice, and especially now with COVID, but even before COVID, like society is like a freeway, and creatives are like the people that decide, I'm going to get off the off ramp and I'm going to take this gravel road. And especially as adults, to navigate creative industries is a challenge. And I applaud you guys. I applaud anybody who decides to tackle that as a career. And it's a challenge, and there's so much advice for people like that to give to others. Now, COVID, let's add that on top of the pile, where creatives we've talked about it a little bit. So I just wanted to go around the room real quick and get your input, something that you might have a piece of insight to others who are struggling through this time, maybe something you're doing to give yourself hope. So it's a very open-ended question, but I would like to start with Jesse, and then we'll just go around and just your thoughts about how you're dealing with this as a creative.
Yeah, really, it's just, it can get, as a creative, it can get like depressing if you don't have that outlet that you're used to. So it's just really trying to, switch your brain and trying to refocus on doing other creative aspects of, things, focus on writing, like I, do the podcast more, do some more writing. I do more of the kind of the promotional stuff, that kind of thing. And really it's the community. It's just keeping in contact with all of the people you do this stuff with that are going through the same thing. So it's just talking with them about it too. And you're not the only one that's, can't do anything. A lot of people, everybody. But yeah, people are finding, things to do within the parameters of it. It's like, if you've done a film contest, you're given all these parameters of things you have to do in your film or you can't do. Think of it like that too. If you're making something that you just have these parameters of COVID, okay, now go make something. Like one thing we did when we were in lockdown in March as a family is me, my wife, and stepson, we made just a little short film in the house. And that was a lot of fun and people dug it. And we had a good time with that, pastime, laughing, things like that don't have to be grand, big projects. It's just, just having that outlet. Yeah. I guess that's my thoughts on it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Jennifer.
Well, I read a lot. So, reading, and then also connecting, finding ways to connect. And if it's virtual, it's virtual. I mean, I think that's probably what's kept me sane the most is connecting via Zoom. Prior to this, like I thought, oh my God, Zoom, like I'm never going to do that. And here we are, connecting. We're connecting right here, right now. And that's really what is going to feed you creatively. And then, take classes. There's so many things you can do online, and especially for free right now. Learn something new, do something new to feed that. But I think that's kind of it. And then be prepared for when you can, especially as filmmakers. Let's be prepared so that as soon as we're ready to hit the road, there's going to be people with cameras everywhere as soon as we're able, I think.
Truth. Dave.
I've just totally embraced this whole situation. I actually was relieved in a sense that things kind of closed down for a while because I was just overwhelming myself with saying yes to everything and doing as many things as I could. And I was like, maybe I can finally get to some things. I still didn't get to all the things I wanted to get to. I'm still working on some of that. And now the clients, start calling once things open up a little bit. And so that kind of slows things down. But I was able to, really get some other projects going that I just partnered up with some people that I hadn't worked with before. And that really helps out because I love collaborating, and but some things like writing, for instance, is hard to write with another person. And so unless it's the right person, if it's the right person, it's incredible. And if it's not, it's really hard. And so I've tried to, with each different group of people, not, just one or two people that I've worked with with different scripts, I just kind of let them, them do their thing. And I just kind of, give my input, and then I work on other scripts that I'm leading or whatever, and just try to kind of learn that way for one thing. But, I think I don't know. I just think this is an opportunity to really decompress a little bit, you know, and it's out of our hands. So why worry about it? You know, I mean, we can't do anything about it other than, you know, take care of ourselves, obviously. And I'd love to be on a set and be able to film make some more films, but you know, it's also an opportunity to get a lot of things lined up. And I mean, and even in my personal life, I've taken this summer and I'm introducing my daughter to like a bunch of the, you know, of the greats of my youth and all this, you know, a lot of 80s and 90s movies. And I think we just watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off the other day. You know, we watched the Matrix trilogy and Back to the Future and Bill and Ted. And so next Friday, we're going to watch Bill and Ted together, you know, and the third one that's coming out. And so, you know, it's actually been, personally, it's actually helped a lot, except for, you know, adult interactions a little bit more would be nice, so that, you know, the one person I talk to doesn't get their ear talked off every time they talk to me, you know, so they're going, yes, Dave, shut up. Okay. But, you know, and also, you know, and along with that, you know, I met Joe before, but, you know, I didn't know Ben. I didn't know Jesse. I didn't know Jennifer before this. I mean, I knew some of Jesse's work. I'd seen it. And we worked with a lot of the same people, and same with Jennifer, but we've never talked in person. And so, you know, this is a really great opportunity to kind of get out there and meet some more people. And as Jesse said, when we were kind of messaging around, you know, get out of our little, our bubbles, our little circles that we normally work with. Because, you know, we don't always get time. If you're a director, you don't usually work with a whole lot of other directors. You know, it's just, they're doing the same thing you do. So they're like, well, yeah, okay, two of us can stand around and tell actors the opposite thing to do. Or something. I don't know.
Right. Nice. First of all, I just wanted to compliment Joe on your stylized lighting for the evening.
Yes, he's taking notes for the next horror movie here.
Like, I feel like this is a cry for help somewhere. Like, Joe, your closing words.
So
before you fade,
you know,
Joe's the gaffer.
Yeah, creativity has gotten the human species through a lot. I mean, right now what we're going through is new to us, but if you think about it, shit's been happening to humans for I mean, since the beginning, and we've made it through. And I think creativity is just part of that. We just got to kind of lose, you know, don't lose that fact that we're going to get through this. We're going to get over it, and do not lose. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we don't want to lose, but we don't want to lose our creativity, because it helps us get through many things. It has, it will, and it's going to be there. You just got to go with it and keep going with it. And this is great. What these guys are doing, what Jennifer's doing, you know, what Dave's doing, what Jesse's doing, they're keeping it up. It just, creativity, it will help us get through this. And it has for thousands of years.
I like that quote. Creativity has gotten humans through a lot. That is so true. And that's one thing that I think that we should all dwell on, is that, you know, right now we're going through a lot, and there's frontline soldiers, for lack of, the healthcare industry is a frontline soldier right now, but there will be a time when we're putting everything back together, and we as creatives will become the front line, and content will need to be created, and morale of the country and the world will need to be raised. So I'm taking this as a little bit of taking from all of your thoughts, and Jennifer, of saying, like, be ready, hone your skill set, hone your craft, but also give yourself a little bit of grace, because we are creatives, we are sensitive, and we're going to have days where we can't do shit. So sit in bed, get through it, and wake up the next day and get it done. But thank you guys so much for being part of our episode. I love what you guys are doing. If you need anything from us West Siders, reach out.
You, man. Thank you, Todd.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, and good to meet everyone.
We will see you in the trenches for our audience. Next week, we're going to be discussing the evolving world of content distribution, and we have Mark Shady, founder of First Focus International, and Fantasy, Ben Dobbins from the Fantasy Movement. So tune in next week. Thank you to the team that makes all this happen. And thank you, Jesse, Jennifer, Joe, Dave. Stay healthy, be safe. Love you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Awesome.
All right. Bye, guys.
Okay, you guys. Oops, I'm not muted, so I'm saying hi to everyone. But let me mute myself here.